Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big topics from original sources. So today, we're diving into a really powerful force in innovation, and it's something you might not expect: the truly lame idea.
I want you to imagine this for a second. You pour your entire life into an idea. You're funding it with maxed out credit cards. You finally get a meeting with an investor. And halfway through your pitch, he just gets up and leaves. And get this, he doesn't even finish his smoothie. This really happened to the founders of Airbnb. Their idea seemed so bad, so completely worthless, it wasn't even worth the time it took to finish a drink. That story just completely goes against everything we think we know, right? We've got this myth that revolutionary companies start with a flash of genius, an idea so brilliant that everybody gets it right away. But what if the reality is the complete opposite? What if the biggest ideas start out looking like the worst ideas? Yeah, let's break this down. The myth is this perfect, fully formed vision. But the reality for giants like Apple, Google, and Facebook? Well, they usually began as these little side projects. They were absolutely not hailed as genius. In fact, most people dismiss them as toys or, just plain lame. And they definitely weren't trying to conquer the world from day one. They started with a tiny, almost laughably small group of people. And here's the key insight, the big takeaway. Looking lame or like a toy isn't actually a bug, it's a feature. It's often a sign that an idea has all the right ingredients, just in a really early, really small package. It's an idea that works perfectly for a small group, but it's missing just one thing: scale. And this is where the strategy really comes in. That starting point isn't supposed to be huge. Our source material calls it a larval market, and that's the perfect name for it. It's this tiny, specific niche that seems totally insignificant, but it has the DNA inside it to grow into something absolutely massive. It's a place where you can get your footing without getting crushed by competition. Just think about it for a second. Apple didn't try to put a computer in every home. Their larval market was just a handful of electronics hobbyists. And Facebook? They weren't trying to connect billions of people. Their first market was literally just the students at one single university. They found a tiny group that desperately wanted what they were building, and they just focused on making them happy first. Okay, so let's circle back to that story from the beginning. To really see this whole larval market thing in action, there is no better example than Airbnb, the company that couldn't even keep an investor interested through a single smoothie. I mean, for the first year, Airbnb had basically zero growth. Their idea, renting air mattresses on their living room floor, was so niche it sounded like a joke. They were literally drowning in personal debt and getting rejected over and over again, all while the entire global economy was in a free fall. On paper, this was the definition of a total failure. And it wasn't just random investors who thought it was a bad idea. This quote is from Fred Wilson, one of the smartest venture capitalists on the planet. Even when his own younger team saw something special, the experienced partners, the old guys, they just couldn't see it. The idea was too weird, too new, too lame. This is the big question, isn't it? No growth, a mountain of debt, and rejection from the smartest people in the business. Any normal, rational person would have thrown in the towel. So what on earth kept them going? And the answer is actually pretty simple. They had something way more powerful than money or validation from investors. They had proof. Because they were the very first hosts. They'd experienced it firsthand. They saw this amazing connection with their guests. They realized this weird little idea wasn't just about renting airbeds. It was about a whole new way to travel. They had personally seen a glimpse of the future. And once you see that, well, you just can't let it go. So this brings us to the most important part of this whole explainer. If the road to building a massive company doesn't start with a big idea that everyone loves, then how in the world do you find these powerful ideas? Okay, the answer, according to our sources, is completely backward from what you'd expect. You don't find great startup ideas by trying to think of them. It sounds crazy, I know, but when you force yourself to brainstorm, your brain automatically goes to ideas that sound plausible, that sound big. It filters out all the weird, niche, toy-like ideas that, as we've just seen, often have the most potential. So the better way is to just stop trying so hard. Instead, you create an environment where these ideas can just bubble up naturally. So first, you learn a ton about things that are actually important. Second, you work on side projects that you personally find fascinating, with zero pressure for them to become a business. And third, you do all of this with people that you really like and respect. And this isn't just some nice theory. This is exactly how these giants were born. Apple, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, none of them started out trying to be a company. They were just side projects that happened to solve a small, interesting problem for a small group of people. And they grew because they were onto something real, not because they had some grand plan from the beginning. So this really reframes the whole search for the next big thing, doesn't it? It suggests that the most powerful ideas might not be hiding in some corporate brainstorming session, but in that weird little side project you're tinkering with, the one that seems too niche, too small, maybe even a little bit lame. So the final question to leave you with is, what seemingly insignificant problem are you overlooking?